This June 27th edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Birddogs Shorts. Dominate summer with an amazing pair of shorts and a free Yeti-style tumbler when you order over at birddogs.com/pool. That's birddogs.com/pool. Welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Monday, the 26th of June, and we've got a full slate of MLB action for Tuesday, June the 27th, to pick over for you this evening. Three-man go tonight. Firstly, from Houston, Texas, is Mr. Munaf Manji. Munaf, what's happening? How are you?
Doing well. Another week of baseball. Here we go. Dog days of the summer, I guess we can say. I know we're starting to approach July here, but yeah, good to be back with you boys. I think the people are more interested on how your weekend was, Mal, than myself or Lonte's.
Well, I'll get to that once we've introduced from Greensboro in North Carolina is Mr. Lonte de la Cruz. Lonte, you've changed your name since I last spoke to you. What's going on?
Yeah, man, I found out De La Cruz is my second cousin. So yeah, we're just gonna roll. We're gonna roll with that. But yeah, man, I'm doing well. Glad to be on with you guys. Looking forward to breaking down the card and hopefully getting on the right side. I think I want to say me and Munaf. I want to say we are hopefully did well or about to do well tonight. Or me and Scott. I'm sorry, I did this podcast with Scott. I'm sorry, got my days mixed up. Yeah, so hopefully me and Scott can get some winners today. I felt like I had a good read on those Monday games. So, yeah, looking forward to hearing about your stories and how it went with those games.
Tonight's card, this was an 8-game or a 6-game card tonight. I don't know if I'm still a little bit hungover from the weekend, but I looked at that this morning and thought it was really easy. I've stuck a 5-team parlay on tonight. Like it was just nothing. I was like, oh, okay, I've worked that out. No problem. Next, it took me like 30 seconds. So, I'll probably sober up pretty quickly once the results go against me. Captain Insano first in the chat. TVDBJ's streak is dead and buried, although he has joined us. How you, Trev? How you doing? Dylan Sierra, Randy as well. Yeah, I had a really fun weekend. Thank you for watching. Really enjoyed the game. The setup was brilliant. The ballpark. They hadn't just... I think they learned some lessons after the Red Sox-Yankees series from 2019. They hadn't just put 4 bases and a mound in the middle of a soccer pitch. They turned it. How much it cost, I have no idea. But they turned the Olympic Stadium into a proper ballpark. The game day experience itself, the access, the facilities, everything was absolutely outstanding. Couldn't fault it even a little bit. I really enjoyed the game. No, it wasn't the most competitive game. I went to game 1, which finished 9-1. So it wasn't really very close, but at no point did that affect my experience of it. I was pleased with how I saw the game because I still I feel like a little bit of an imposter with this accent talking about your sport. And I'm very conscious of that as much as I just sit here and talk a lot of bollocks most of the time. I'm still really conscious of that. But actually, I saw the game really well. I was happy kind of calling balls and strikes from 500 feet away. I had all of that going on. I'll tell you what did help was the 2 home run picks as well, Ian Happ and Dansby Swanson that Scott gave out. So I watched the show back on Saturday morning, and so my main pick was the Ian Happ home run, which Scott gave out at round about 4-1, and that cashed relatively early, so I was okay with that. And then just the icing on the cake, there was 2 outs in the 9th inning when Dansby hit that home run at 4-1 as well. So I got my Ian Happ and Dansby Swanson, filled my beer bat up 3 times during the course of the day. So cheers for them 2 boys. I was going to put my cup of tea in it tonight, but you can't put it down anywhere. You just have to hold it. 3 times when I was drinking it, my sunglasses fell off the back of my head. And the man behind me had to catch them and kept giving me my sunglasses back. So, yeah, I brought my beer back for Bob in a little bowl. So, yeah, great weekend. I could talk about this all night, boys. I've just started making it's like the Oscars, when they start putting that slow music on when it's time for the person to go. Yeah, if you could start humming that tune.
It was
Friday night
baseball game, so I mean,
yeah, I know. So I messed up my travel on Friday and arrived far too late. Ended up going to it was an African/Caribbean street party. Just by myself. I was way the oldest and the whitest man there, but I had a great time. I had some curried goat. I had some saltfish. I danced to tunes I had no business dancing to. And I had some nice rum-based cocktails. So I had a great time. And I think that just about covers it. I saw loads of night hawks there as well. 7 or 8 little pockets of night hawks sat around the stadium I kept bumping into. And sat next to some Cubs fans who were from New Orleans, of all places, a family. But they had travelled over specifically for the game. So, I did have a good game. Really enjoyed it. Thanks everyone who asked as well. Everyone was asking on Twitter and in the Discord channel how I was getting on. So I appreciated everyone's interest. How did the games look from your point of view, Munaf? Did you get to watch any of it? Did it look like a real game?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a lot of what we talked about when me and Scott handicapped game 1. We talked about fading Adam Wainwright, taking his under on his outs recorded and the amount of earned runs that he gave up. I know you and I early in the morning before he got to the game talked about taking the Cubs team total over. That got there in the 9th inning as well. So I think it's just simply carried over from what the Cardinals were doing here in the States over to at least in game 1. And then game 2, we saw Marcus Stroman leave with an injury. I think it was a hand injury. It's official classification for Marcus Stroman. But, give credit to the Cardinals for fighting back. They got down 4-0 early, and then they fought their way back to at least get one of the games in this series. So I wasn't able to catch game 2, but, nothing really changed. I mean, everything looked fantastic from all the videos that we saw about how, London, made the field ready and the locker room looked really nice and everything just looked clean and spiffy. I think that was the biggest takeaway for me. So hopefully, I think it was your first baseball game out there. I think probably maybe a lot of people over there in London as well. Hopefully they just had a great experience.
Yeah. I mean, it probably cost me about 700 quid this weekend. So like I did it this weekend, if I had a local team, you'd have to do things on a bit more of a budget than I did it this weekend. But for my first game, it was at the other end of the country. The experience was absolutely outstanding. MLB did a great job. The people there did a great job, and that's the British American.
I think we're losing Mal here a little bit.
Yeah, I think we lost him also.
That's okay. Lonte, you want to give your takeaways for the game at least for the weekend? The London series at least.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch a ton of it. I'm not gonna lie. I did watch Stroman in that game. I think that was the most competitive game, if I'm not mistaken. The second game, right? Was
the first game ended up 9-1. Where
the second game was the most competitive. I did watch a little bit of that. Outside of that, man, I didn't have much action on it outside of some props that the guys gave out earlier that you, Mal, and Scott gave out throughout the process of the handicapping. So basically just tells you guys, to be honest, with the hat props. I think our friend Adam Rosenberg had some props as well. I usually try to pick his brain on some stuff. But outside of that, man, I thought it would be a good experience for for Mal, and I was kind of jealous that I wasn't there, especially hearing about the African party.
Oh, mate, Lonte, am I back, by the way? Can you hear me?
Man, you good.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, cool. Yeah, Lonte, that was absolutely outstanding. Really, really a highlight of the weekend. I was just saying that
you've had back-to-back great weekends, man.
Back-to-back great. Yeah, I was working at that first one. There was strippers and cocaine involved, but I was on the payroll, Lonte. Don't get me. I wasn't enjoying either of those things. So yeah, to put a cap on it, I thought MLB did a great job. I thought the British fans were great. All the Americans that I spoke to were great as well. And I can't wait. Phillies and Mets next year. So what we need to do is pick some winners so I can start saving up for another 700 quid on beer and curried goat this time next year. So let's pick some winners and we can start the piggy bank for next year. So first thing to do is tell you about Birddogs. for weekends like the one I've just had, which was incredibly hot. The weather was beautiful. Your bird dog shorts were just the thing. Stretch khaki shorts designed for a slimmer fit. And yeah, none of this stiff restricting cotton. Birddogs fixes that issue by giving you this cloud knit fabric. Looks great, but stretches to give you a way slimmer fit. And the anti-stink sweat wicking fabric keeps you cool and dry all day long. If you go to birddogs.com/pool, enter the promo code POOL pool for a free Yeti style tumbler with your order. That's birddogs.com/pool for a free Yeti style tumbler. You won't want to take your bird dogs off. We promise you. Okay. Oh, Young Lee's turned up tonight. Hello, Young. How are you? Young is normally in the Discord channel at all hours of the day and night, giving out incredible picks on any sport you can imagine. One of the shrewdest men in the SGPN family is Young. Okay, so no baseball today, which was disappointing. No baseball tomorrow. I mean, what's happening? 7:05 Eastern is the first game, and it is the Cincinnati Reds at the Baltimore Orioles. Andrew Abbott, left-handed pitcher for Cincinnati, and Tyler Wells will go for Baltimore. Plus 115 on the Reds, minus 135 on the O's, with a total of 8.5. Munaf, lead us up.
Yeah, Andrew Abbott gets to start here for the Cincinnati Reds. The red-hot Cincinnati Reds. I know they dropped a couple games against the Braves over the weekend, but left-handed pitcher Andrew Abbott on the mound on the season. The Reds have won all 4 of his starts thus far this year. 3-0 record with a 1.14 ERA. He's only allowed 3 earned runs in 23 2/3 innings pitch. He's pitched 11 2/3 innings on the road. Hasn't allowed a single earned run. And then we take a look at how Baltimore does against left-handed pitching over the last 2 weeks. I'll feature that down for more recent stats. Baltimore right around middle of the pack. They're number 16 in WRC plus. As far as batting average goes, they are number 14. Slugging percentage, they are number 18. So right around, like I mentioned, league average. Tyler Wells on the other side for the Baltimore Orioles will get the start here on the season. 6-3 with a 3.22 ERA, 86 2/3 innings pitch. He's allowed 31 earned runs total at home in Camden Yards. 4-2 with a 2.52 ERA. The Orioles have won 3 of his last 4 starts. They did drop the last game, which was against the Tampa Bay Rays in Tampa. But again, we've talked about how the Rays are just so good at home. I think I'm going to be a little contrarian here. I think this might turn into a pitcher's duel here a little bit. I know we've talked about how many runs the Reds have been scoring, and Baltimore can get theirs as well. But I'm leaning towards the under 8.5 in this game. I think Andrew Abbott can go along well here. Tyler Wells, I believe, has one of the lowest whips in the majors, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that runs may be at a premium here, as shocking as that may sound with how hot the offense has been for the Cincinnati Reds. So I'm going to go under 8.5. Couldn't bring myself to a side. If you put a gun to my head, I would go with the Cincinnati Reds at the plus money just because they have been playing great baseball over the past month or so. So under 8.5 for me and the Cincinnati Reds here, Mel.
Lonte de la Cruz, it's your team. Tell us about them.
Yeah, man, I couldn't agree with Munaf more as far as, how well the Reds have been playing. Abbott, I was extremely surprised. I mean, he's not allowed more than 5 hits in a game. Wells he's great at home, 2 earned runs or fewer in 6 of his last 7 home starts. He gave up 3 in the other game, so pitching really well, but he is prone to give up a home run or 2. He's had 2+ in 4 of the last 7 starts. So maybe look at some De La Cruz props, Votto, Steer, some of those guys, I guess the top tier guys to hit a long ball would be a good bet to make in this game. I couldn't quite get there on the under, although I do see the point. And as far as the side, man, I mean, I think it's just going to be simple for me. I'm just going to take Cincinnati as a dog. I don't like fading either one of these teams, but if I had to, I'd play Cincinnati at a plus price. But all in all, I think my bet will be on the game will be those home run props for those 3 guys that I named out: Steer, De La Cruz, and Votto.
I'll throw one more in there. Matt McLean.
Oh, yeah.
For Cincinnati. He had 4 extra base hits last night, Matt McLean. I've got Cincinnati home run props written down, Lonte. You beat me to it. Wells has given up multi-home runs in his last 2 appearances. And I'm on the side of it's a team right on the Reds. I think you have to take them at plus 115. Cincinnati are 4 for 4 in the games that Abbott has started. 0 earned runs on the road so far as well. Baltimore, just a little news and notes here. Baltimore going to call up Jordan Westberg. I'm not sure of position, but I know he's a bat. He's hitting 294 at AAA. So an already pretty powerful offense. We'll see what Jordan Westberg can add to that for Baltimore. But yeah, I'll take Cincinnati. And like I say, I do like those home run props as well that Lonte led us towards. Second game on the card is a 7:05 Eastern first pitch between the San Diego Padres and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Yu Darvish goes for San Diego, and it's Dick Mountain Day. We love a bit of that. Left-handed pitcher Rich Hill goes for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Minus 175 on the Padres, plus 155 for the Pirates with Hill, and a total of 8.5 for Lonte to tell us about.
Yeah, man. I had a hard time picking a side in this game. On one hand, 175 does seem a little cheap with the way Pittsburgh has been playing, but again, San Diego is pretty much as inconsistent as it gets. They outscored Washington 16-13, but lost the series 2-1. So I don't trust either side here. I would lean to San Diego due to the high ceiling offensively they have. Although, again, Darvish, 21 earned runs in his last 5 starts, 4+ earned runs in 4 of his last 7 road starts. Rich Hill, he's been okay. I mean, nothing special at home or on the road, but again, it's Rich Hill. So all that to say, man, I honestly have no idea where to go. If I had to make a bet, I'd bet on the over and maybe a San Diego team total over. But I don't want to tie my money up in a game I'm just so unsure about. Maybe you guys can talk me on one side or the other.
Lonte, exactly the same notes. Again, I really struggle to find an answer for this. I always get Darvish wrong. We know this every week. It's not a secret. He is poor on the road. But Pittsburgh are really struggling as well. Lost 15 of 18. And they've been shut out 4 times in the last 9 games. However, I've still gone with the over. So it kind of a little bit perverse there. Combo of Darvish poor on the road, Rich Hill not going great. We know what the Padres can do. But this was probably my least confident pick of everyone I've made from this card tonight. So yeah, over 8.5, but certainly not a strong feeling, Muna.
Yeah, I mean, Darvish has been giving it up on the road. Last 3 starts on the road, 4 earned runs to the Giants. He gave up 4 to the Rockies in Colorado. Okay, and then he gave up 7 earned runs to the New York Yankees back on May 28th on Sunday. So I think I'm going to lean with the Padres team total as well. Like Lonte mentioned, I think they found something offensively against left-handed pitching as well. They've been doing real well. Last 2 weeks, they're number 3 in WRC plus team batting average. They are number 13 slugging percentage. They are number 6. And then on OPS, they are number 3 over the last 2 weeks against left-handed pitching. So I feel like they can get to Rich Hill here a little bit. Again, we talked about the Yu Darvish's struggles on the road. Maybe that's a cure for the Pittsburgh Pirates bats, but I'll lean with the Padres team total over here, and I'll probably take a look at their run line as well.
Yeah, Dylan O'Donnell in the chat saying the exact same thing, that he's really struggling to come down on a side for this one, which kind of pleases me that we're not the only ones. I think it's a common thread with bettors on that. Third up tonight is a 7:07 Eastern first pitch between the San Francisco Giants and the Toronto Blue Jays. And now I've seen pitching shenanigans all day. Just in the last hour or so, I've got Ryan Walker slated for the Giants. All day long, I had Kevin Gausman for the Blue Jays. But he is officially TBD. So we've got no lines here. Ryan Walker, it will be a bullpen day for the Giants, which has in the past meant Sean Manaea is the long reliever. But apart from that, there's not an awful lot I can tell you about that. Kevin Gausman, he's 7-3, 3.10 ERA. Not been as good lately. He seems to be struggling early in games before settling down. Just needs to negotiate his way through the first couple of innings. He is better at home, though. 7 games started, 2.61 ERA. Tricky one, this, because the Giants are 8-2 in their last 10 as well. Half a game out of the wild card race. They've got a great road record. Toronto have a great home record. I was kind of quite pleased there was no lines on this one, because it means I didn't have to make a pick. Having said, I was struggling with the Padres at the Pirates. This was the other one I really struggled with as well. So, yeah, I haven't got much more on this, but I can use the excuse that we haven't got any lines for it. So, Munaf, anything to add on this Giants and Blue Jays game?
No, I don't have anything without a Blue Jays pitcher.
Lonte?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I all my notes are based on Gausman being the starter, so
yeah,
that's kind of shocking. I do like how San Francisco probably listened to the podcast that me and Munaf did a couple Fridays ago and placed some money on them to not make the playoffs, and they proceeded to just be as hot as ever. They won 15 of the last 19, 9 straight on the road. I would probably lean their way, to be honest. But again, I got to see the pictures and the numbers to make it official. But Toronto just too inconsistent. But again, it's hard to decipher which, with this pitching and number thing being down. So
yeah, loads of notes on this next one though. You'll be pleased to hear 7:10 Eastern first pitch between the Milwaukee Brewers and the New York Mets. Julio Teheran for the Brewers and David Peterson, left-handed pitcher, goes for the Mets. Plus 120 on Milwaukee, minus 140 on the Mets. Total set at 9. Julio Teheran for the Brewers. 2-2 on the year, 1.53 ERA. I said on the last show I'd give him one more chance to blow up, and if he didn't, I'd start backing him. So I am in. He hasn't blown up, and he hasn't really looked like it. He's been really good. 1.48 ERA in his last 5 starts. His 2 road starts, he's pitched 12 and a third, only given up 2 earned runs. Did walk 4 last time. Hopefully that's the outlier. David Peterson, and following on from that, the Mets. I mean, what do you do with this, really? 1-6 on the year, 8.08 ERA. Not pitched since May the 15th, but he was really struggling and consistently struggling before that. I could not believe the prices when I saw this. I thought this would be close to a match, and if it wasn't close to a match, I'd have the Brewers as a slight favourite. The Mets completely and utterly blew it again last night. They are 5-15 in June, are the New York Mets. The cracks are starting to appear in Buck Showalter. He appears to be slowly going mad. His explanation last night on why the Mets did what they did didn't really make sense, and he just seemed a little bit flustered by all of that. The Mets this season have now lost 12 games when they've scored 6 or more runs, which is a ridiculously high figure because you score 6 runs, you should be winning games. You get the odd blowout, but I don't often take the Brewers, the lowest scorers in that division, but the Mets suck so hard, and it's just impossible to trust them. I think the Brewers are plus 120 behind a pitcher with a 1.53 ERA. Yeah, I've got to take Milwaukee, Muna.
Yeah, I mean, David Peterson, since his about a little over a month off, I mean, he was absolutely terrible. The Mets had lost 4 straight starts, back at the beginning of the season, and then they had lost, let's see here, 7 of his 8 starts at the beginning of the year. And I mean, he was giving up the runs. There's no secret about that. I guess I'll lean with the Brewers here as well. It just seems like this Mets team is a shell of themselves right now. I mean, you mentioned the absolute horrible mistake that Buck Showalter made against the Phillies. Julio, I feel like this might be a game where he does blow up, but again, we'll have to see it before we can talk about fading him, at least at the blow up coming. But this Mets team is just so difficult to figure out, and I think that you take the plus money with the better pitcher. You don't know what you're going to get out of David Peterson coming back after a very long time. So, and the Brewers haven't been too bad against left-handed pitching. They're kind of middle of the road over the last 2 weeks, but yeah, I'll take the Brewers here with you. I don't love it, but I think the value is on the Brewers.
Okay, 2 for 2 on the Brewers, Lonte.
Yeah, clean sweep for me, man. I couldn't agree with any of you guys more. I really don't have much more to add. You guys pretty much hit it out of the park, especially the pitching duel. I mean, I get the better pitcher. I mean, I guess I would trust Milwaukee to be more consistent on both sides than New York here, especially with Peterson throwing. So yeah, I like Milwaukee here at the plus money. I think it's a good bargain. So team ride for Milwaukee.
TVDVJ calling both teams schizophrenics made me giggle in the comments. I just think just a little someone talking about just a little curiosity. This was the Drew Smith suspension. Drew Smith got a 10-game suspension for sticky stuff. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago when the real Dylan D-Rock was on the show. And when a player gets suspended, you don't get to replace him, so you just have to roll with a 24-man roster, and that's kind of the knock-on effect of last night. That's what happened last night when the Mets had no pitching left. It's a kind of throwback to that Drew Smith suspension 10 games ago, So it's fine margins that these teams are having to work under. So I just thought that was a little note of interest. 7:10 Eastern first pitch is the Miami Marlins at the Boston Red Sox. Sandy Alcantara goes for Miami, and Garrett Whitlock will pitch for Boston. Close on the books, minus 105 on the Marlins, minus 115 on Boston, with a total of 9. Munaf, your Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, Sandy on the mound. I mean, we know the story this season for him. He's just been the complete opposite of what he did last season in Cy Young form. But back-to-back starts, he's allowed 5 earned runs to the opposition, which was against the Washington Nationals and the Toronto Blue Jays. He's allowed at least 4 earned runs in 4 of the last 5 starts. On the road this season, just 1-4 with a 4.86 ERA. He's allowed 29 earned runs in about 53 2/3 innings pitched. There's no way I can trust him, man. He's given up 10 plus hits in back-to-back starts. I mentioned the road number as well. Garrett Whitlock for the Boston Red Sox, 4-2 on the season, 4.50 ERA. Has been pretty good over his last 3 games for the Boston Red Sox. He's allowed a total of 7 earned runs in about, 20 1/3 innings pitched over his last 3 starts. At home, like I mentioned, at Fenway Park, he's 2-0 with 3.38 ERA, 18 2/3 innings pitched. I think I do like the over in this game. I think Sandy will give it up to the Boston Red Sox. That number's at 9 right now. The Red Sox offense has been doing pretty well. I know they weren't able to produce in the last 2 games against the White Sox, but they're back at Fenway Park. Sandy has looked very vulnerable over the last several starts, like I mentioned. Garrett Whitlock, he can give up runs here as well. A lot of people might look at this price and say, "Oh, this is a buy low situation for Sandy." But anytime you see that, especially over his last couple starts, it's been a disappointment for Sandy. So I like the over 9 in this game. I'm gonna lean with the Boston Red Sox in this game on the money line, minus 115 as well.
Okay, so it's Boston for Munaf. Lonte?
Yeah, man, I had a hard time with this one also. I'm not gonna lie. I think Sandy, he hasn't won since May 24th. Is that right, Munaf? Is that what you had, Munaf?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Sandy hasn't won a start since May 24th, right?
Yes, May 24th, which was against the Rockies in Colorado.
Right, 5 earned runs in 3 of his last 4 starts. But he hasn't been horrible on the road, man. On the road, he's had 2 earned runs or fewer in 4 of his last 5 starts. So, I mean, again, this is a Boston offense that's pretty good. And Whitlock, I mean, he doesn't walk people. 39-7 K to walk ratio. He's a bit inconsistent overall as far as some of his mechanical stuff, but he's better at home. Only had 3 home starts. Like I said, man, I had a really, really tough time. I would just lean to Miami, thinking that like you said, Munaf, I know it's a bit like taking the bait, but I think Sandy has a decent outing here. I mean, he doesn't have to give up. He can still give up 2 or 3, and actually, I don't know if Miami's offense can score 4. So again, there's just inconsistent. Like I have no idea. I take Miami, but take that with a grain of salt. The smallest grain of salt you can find.
I was quite easily persuaded into Boston here. Miami, Alcantara gave up 5 again last time, 5 more. Boston have had a little skid lately, but they have won 4 of Whitlock's last 5 starts. He gets some good length out of Whitlock as well. If you want an out prop, he's gone sort of 7 or further. Yeah, Boston at minus 115 back at home. I thought were a very reasonable price. We'll move on after I'll let you know about Underdog Fantasy and Best Ball Mania 4, which is here. Underdog Fantasy are giving away $15 million in prizes. Underdog Pick'em is also a great way to get down on your favorite MLB and college baseball player props. Loads of ways to win at Underdog, and it's active in lots of states too. Head to underdogfantasy.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN. 7:20 first pitch, the Minnesota Twins at the Atlanta Braves, where Joe Ryan goes to start for the Twins and Bryce Elder goes for the Braves. We have lines of plus 120 on Minnesota, minus 140 on Atlanta, and a total of 9 for Lonte.
Yeah, man, I think that's a bit disrespectful to Atlanta. I mean, 140 at home, they're like matching teams at home. I mean, the Twins, I like Joe Ryan, but, I just don't trust him as a whole. If it was anyone else, probably I would, like, if it was anybody else but the Twins getting this number, I'd probably be persuaded that way. Joe's coming off a complete game shutout after being inconsistent in his last 5 starts. Elder has been pretty consistent all year, 2 earned runs or fewer in his last 10 starts. He was roughed up in early June, but he bounced back after that. And I like to see guys bounce back after after a couple shaky starts. He usually goes deep into games also, so you might want to look for some outs. He had 6+ innings pitched in 6 of his last 7 games. Man, I'm gonna just keep it nice and simple for the boys, man. I think Atlanta is pretty, you're getting pretty disrespected right here. 140 at home. I mean, Elder's not Strider, but again, he pitches way better at home. The Atlanta offense responds anywhere. They're averaging 6 runs on the road in the past 5 games, and I think they've scored 6+ in like 9 of their last 11 home games. So, man, I'm not even going to overthink it. Give me Atlanta land a small number at home.
Yeah, I agree with you, Lonte. I think minus 140 is a good price. A little bit like Julio Teheran, I've been touting a Bryce Elder blow up just through some of the numbers that have been put up in fantasy circles. That his underlying metrics haven't really matched up with his performance. But at some point, you've got to believe it when he keeps doing it. And I think that's the point that I'm at now. I love Joe Ryan, but that Minnesota offense is always a worry. I would lean towards the under because I think both can pitch well. You said Ryan has that complete game shutout last time, and he's better on the road as well. But Elder's going okay in Atlanta, are better than Minnesota. Pretty straightforward for me. I'd take the under, but Atlanta at minus 140 a playable, Munaf.
I mean, I think for me, it just kind of comes down to you just back the better offense here. And this offense, the Braves, is just one of the best right up there with Texas in the entire league. I mean, we've seen them put up, 6-7+ runs in I don't know how many straight games. Joe Ryan is coming off that, like you guys mentioned, that complete game shutout against the Boston Red Sox. So, and he pitched a season high 112 pitches in that game. So this might be an opportunity where he does kind of come back down to earth. Maybe does, maybe some arm fatigue for him, because there's been multiple games, at least 1, 2, 3, 4 games where he's pitched 100 more pitches in his starts. He had 99 pitches against the Detroit Tigers. So maybe some fatigue does set in. Now you're going up against one of the better offenses in the league at minus 140 on the Braves. I'll take that to the bank as well. And like you guys mentioned, Bryce Elder has been doing real well as well. He just had 2 back-to-back starts where he gave up 9 earned runs combined. But outside of that, over his last 2 starts, he's been absolutely fantastic. So I'll take the Braves here on the money line with you guys.
Okay, a little bit Munaf. Next up, 7:45 Eastern. First pitch between the Houston Astros and the St. Louis Cardinals. Framber Valdez, left-handed pitcher for Houston. I have got Jordan Montgomery going for St. Louis, officially TBD. I do have money lines though, so I think we can be confident on that. Houston are minus 115 and St. Louis are minus 110. I have no total on that. I don't know if either of you two can shout me up a total, but I don't have one.
8.
8, total of 8. Okay, there you go. So Houston coming off their first extra innings win of the season last night. Have Framber Valdez 7-5, 2.27 ERA. He's been outstanding lately. 1.91 ERA in his last 5. Usually 7 innings pitched or more. And he's just not giving up any home runs either. No home runs in those last 5 starts. Montgomery has been decent lately as well, though. 2.10 ERA in his last 5. Slightly worse at home. St. Louis are hitting 249 v lefties, so pretty average. Jordan Walker has the longest hit streak in the majors at the moment, if you want to take a hit prop on Jordan Walker. This is really, really hard travel spot for St. Louis. They've come a long way. They've gone 4,000 miles back from London. So we'll have to see how that works out. But both pitchers are going okay. I can't imagine Jordan Montgomery was in London. And neither team are playing well, really. Like I say, Houston got that win last night. But neither team are really putting it together. I think a first 5 under. This could be a very slow burner here. I'll take the first 5 under between Valdez and Montgomery, Lonte.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I'm actually fading both teams coming back from London. So I know we'll talk about Chicago in a few games. But, yeah, it's a horrible spot for St. Louis. Houston, not a crazy – well, definitely not as much of a road trip as St. Louis. So I think it's a good spot. Framber is 2 earned runs or less in 5 of his last 6. Hasn't allowed over 3 earned runs in any road start. So that'll be there. I'm glad that Jordan Walker is performing. I know people were, talking about how he wasn't going to pan out and all of this, but I always thought it was too early for them to, cast things. And although he's not, playing to the level of maybe like, Corbin Carroll or some of these other guys, but it's good to see when young guys, get confidence and he's, get a hit streak like he's on right now. So that's just something that I like to see. But yeah, I'm on Houston here, man. I think Houston is going to be angry after, they won that game, but they pretty much got blown out the first 2 games, if I'm not mistaken, by the Dodgers. So I like Houston and Framber on the road here.
Munaf?
Yeah, Framber has been really good on the road for the Astros, 4-1 with a 2.73 ERA, only allowed 10 earned runs in 33 innings pitched. The Astros offense shockingly hasn't done very good against left-handed pitching, at least over the last 2 weeks. They're kind of bottom, at least well below league average in a lot of the statistical offensive categories. I do like your play of under 4. The first 5 under. If you're able to find a 4.5 with a total of 8, maybe might be a little bit of juice on it, but you should be able to find a 4, no problem. I like the under as well. I'm going to lean with the Astros here. I think I do have the better pitcher on the mound, and also with the travel situation, I guess we can still say, even though both teams have a day off, the Astros have the more, rest advantage. Like you mentioned, it's 4,000 miles from London, maybe back to St. Louis. And for the Astros, it's going from LA to St. Louis, which they probably got in last night, did the Astros. So I'll go Astros and the under as well.
Next game is an 8:05 Eastern first pitch, and it is off the board. It's the Detroit Tigers at the Texas Rangers. No pitcher at all for Detroit. Can't even guess that one. We have lefty Martin Perez going for Texas, and after that, I have absolutely nothing. Munaf, Detroit to Texas.
I think the only thing that I will mention about Martin Perez is that that's a pitcher that you want to trust at home in Arlington. Trying to pull up the exact numbers here for Perez at home thus far this season. The Rangers are 4-1 straight up in those situations, 4-1 in the first 5 innings as well. Detroit against left-handed pitching, I'll quickly mention those numbers as well, at least over the last 2 weeks. WRC plus, Detroit is number 17. They are number, team batting average are number 28. On base percentage, they are number 19, and slugging percentage against left-handed pitching over the last 2 weeks, number 20. So below league average in a lot of those categories. I know Martin Perez, he hasn't been very well or doing very well, at least on the road thus far this season, where he is, 4-2 with a 5.98 ERA, but at home, 3-1 with a 1.71 ERA, 31 and 2/3 innings pitched. He's only allowed 6 earned runs in that span. He's faced some pretty good offenses at home. He faced Toronto, faced the Rockies when they had Charlie Blackmon and Chris Bryant, and then he also faced the Yankees in his first start, in a start earlier back on April 30th with Aaron Judge there. So I trust the Texas offense here. I trust Martin Perez at home. I will lean here with the Texas Rangers. Again, depends on who the pitcher is for the Tigers, but I would still lean with the Rangers in this game.
Yeah, I sometimes work on an instinct and then kind of reverse engineer it to try and find a reason not to back it. I wrote down Texas run line and then had a look back, and there's nothing to change my mind as yet without the Detroit pitcher. But that's as far as I got with this one, Lonte.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with both of you guys, especially with Munaf. You mentioned the Perez stuff. I'll just expand on it a little. he's been solid in June. I mean, 2 earned runs or less in his three of his 4 starts. He's also had 2 earned runs or less in all 4 home starts. I think you mentioned that as well. I would look at some total outs props for Perez. He has went 7 in 4 of his last 7 starts, so that's something to pivot on. Not a big strikeout. I'm not a big strikeout like guy. I can't really gauge like an edge on it, so I mostly just play the out props when it comes to pitchers. Detroit did rough him up in Detroit on May 30th. 6 earned runs, 2 home runs, so I think he bounces back at home here. I would look at a team total for Texas. They average, I think, close to 7 runs at home, number 1 in the MLB. So definitely love Texas's team total, and would play Texas as long as the number is reasonable, I would say.
8:05 Eastern first pitch is the Philadelphia Phillies at the Chicago Cubs. We have Ranger Suarez, left-handed pitcher for Philadelphia. Chicago officially TBD, but we think it's Jameson Taillon who will be going for the Cubbies. -125 on Philadelphia, +105 on the Cubs. No total for the usual Wrigley reasons. Lonte, Phillies at Cubs.
Yeah, man. Like I said, with St. Louis, man, I just think it's a fade spot for those London teams. Both of those teams getting back. I think Philly, they won the series 2-1 back in May. Each team won in a blowout, and then Philly won a close game, like a low-scoring close game. I think it was 2-1, 3-2, something like that. Philly has also won 15 of the last 20 games, including 8 of the last 9 on the road. So they're picking up steam. I think me, Munaf, and D-Rock were talking about how Philly was a buy low team back before they took off. So I think that's paying dividends. Suarez is. I have Suarez. Do you guys see Suarez for Philly?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So Suarez, man, he's been phenomenal in June. 3 earned runs combined in 4 starts versus Atlanta, Arizona, and the Dodgers. He pitches like into the 6th inning. He's had 6+ innings pitched in 5 straight starts. So another total out prop for you there if you want to look there. He's also pitched well on the road this year. 3 earned runs or less in all 4 starts on the road. So I think all signs point to Philly here. I would take Philly on the run line and also look at a Philly team total over with Taillon. 11 earned runs combined in his last 3 starts. He's also allowed 2 home runs, 2+ home runs in 4 of his last 8 starts. So a little over half. You can expect him to give up 2 bombs. 19 earned runs in his last 5 home starts. So he's a complete fave for me, man. I would look at some Schwarber props. Harper, who's been struggling. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but Harper, he hasn't hit a home run in a while. So maybe I think if you find some big odds on him to hit a homer, I would specifically target those 2 guys.
Munaf, you fading the Cubs in the travel spot too?
Yeah, I think the one thing that does concern me is the Cubs are a really good team batting against left-handed pitching. Last 2 weeks, they're tops in a lot of the offensive categories that I like to look at: WRC plus, team batting average, slugging percentage, and OPS. And Suarez did have a start earlier this season against the Cubs, where he got hit in about 2 innings. Back on May 19th in Philadelphia, 2 innings pitched. He only gave up 5 hits, 4 earned runs. He also walked 3 batters in just 2 innings there. So that does make me a little nervous. I would, again, depending on which direction the wind is blowing, maybe I would look at the over in this game. I think the Phillies bats have come alive a little bit. I think the Cubs can, again, get to Ranger Suarez here. It's difficult, again, because we just talked about the Cardinals coming back from London. The Cubs are in that same situation as well. But yeah, I would lean with the Cubs here. I would definitely do like the over, but again, did check the wind direction in this game before you bet on any totals.
I thought this was really easy. TV DBJs just put it in a nutshell. The travel and Taillon combination. You couldn't pay me to back Chicago. Taillon's completely and utterly on the no bet list. Suarez has been outstanding lately. Lonte points out the 15 of 20 they've won, even though the Cubs have won 11 of their last 14. But -125 is an a great price for a pitcher who's in very good form against a pitcher who's not, and a team that have just got off a 10-hour flight. So yeah, absolutely give me the Phillies. 8:10 Eastern first pitch. The Cleveland Guardians at the Kansas City Royals. Rookie Gavin Williams goes for Cleveland, and Brady Singer starts for Kansas City, who are plus 125 at home, with Cleveland at minus 145 and a total of 9. This is Gavin Williams' second start. We talked him up last week. I said Noah had been really bullish about him. He pitched 5 2/3 against Oakland, gave up 4 runs, but he had one bad inning. He gave up a 4-run fourth inning. Either side of that, he was absolutely fine. So I was kind of happy. It's one of those where you really need to watch the game rather than just look at the numbers. I'm absolutely happy to trust him again in this position, particularly against this Kansas City team. Brady Singer's 4-7 on the year, 6.34 ERA. He continues to struggle. He's worse at home. He's a 4.88 career ERA against Cleveland. It was all Cleveland for me. Minus 145 is slightly prohibitive, but just about backable if you're keen for a unit and a half. With Gavin Williams getting my vote for a second time, Munaf.
Yeah, Brady Singer at home, at least over his last couple starts, hasn't been too bad. He gave up 2 earned runs to the LA Angels, and then he shut out the Colorado Rockies, and then he only allowed 2 to the Washington Nationals, and then 1 to the Chicago White Sox. I think the ERA is a little bit inflated just because of what he had done earlier in the season. But the Royals, they're just not winning games when he's starting. Like, they haven't given him much run support. They've lost 4 of his last 5 starts. They've only combined to score, let's see here, 7 runs in those last 5 games with Brady Singer is on the mound. Gavin Williams, on the other hand, for the Guardians, did get a start in his last game against the Oakland A's. He allowed 4 earned runs in that game, 3 walks, 4 hits. I want to take the Royals here really bad. I really do. I feel like there's some value on Brady Singer here. I'm going to do it. Give me the Royals. Give me the plus 125. I don't hate the run line either. Plus 1.5, minus 125. Now, when the Guardians blow them out 10-0, I'll load up to it on the next time I'm on the podcast.
Yeah, that's an awful pick, Munaf. Lonte?
Yeah, well, I'll double down with Munaf, man, because I think I'm going to lean with KC also. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Singer, man, at home recently. He has been solid. You read off the numbers there, and that's if you wanted to keep count, it's 4 of the last 5 home starts that he's given up 2 earned runs or less. So, I mean, Cleveland's bad on the road. I know KC is bad pretty much anywhere, but they did take 2 of 4 in Tampa. I guess that's some feathers in the cap for us, Munaf, thinking that they can carry that over to at home. But I have no idea what to do in this game, to be honest with you. I'm taking Kansas City because they're the dog, and I think Singer's being a little bit undervalued here. So that's my handicap for the game. I'm really not a believer in Cleveland. I mean, I can't get there with their offense as well. But I'll take the plus money with Kansas City every time.
Okay, so it turns out I'm in the minority then. Fair enough. 8:40 Eastern first pitch is the LA Dodgers at the Colorado Rockies. Clayton Kershaw, left-handed pitcher for the Dodgers, and Connor Siebold for Colorado. Plus 250 for Colorado at home, minus 300 for Kershaw, and a total of 12. Munaf.
Well, you can't lay a minus 300 price with the Dodgers here. Let's just start there. But also, this Rockies team is starting to become one of the worst in the league. So it's Clayton Kershaw over his last 3 starts for the Dodgers, 2-0 with a 0.9 ERA. He's pitched 20 innings in his last 3 starts, only allowed 2 earned runs, 19 strikeouts to only 6 walks. But the split, I should say, where Kershaw does get into trouble is in road games. 5-3 on the season. ERA at home this year in Dodger Stadium, 1.7, but on the road, it's 3.44. Now you're going into Coors Field, where Clayton Kershaw has struggled a little bit over the last several seasons against the Rockies in that span. I'm trying to pull up the exact numbers here for Clayton Kershaw. Let's just go back to 2021. He has a 0-3 record with an 8.40 ERA in 3 appearances against the Rockies since 2021. He's allowed at least 3 earned runs in every single one of those starts. He's allowed at least 5 earned runs in 2 out of those 3 starts. Last season in 2 starts, the Dodgers lost both games against the Rockies. in Coors Field when Clayton Kershaw started. 7-4 victory for the Rockies, and then a 5-3 victory for the Rockies as well. Connor Seabold gets a start for the Rockies in this game, who, again, not very good on the season thus far. He's 1-3 with a 5.88 ERA. Last 5 games, he's 0-2 with a 5.76 ERA. He did face the Dodgers earlier this season. It was a relief appearance for him. 3 innings pitched. He allowed 4 earned runs in that game, 5 hits to the Dodgers, which just kind of leads me just taking the over in this game. I think both offense, especially the Dodgers, can put up some runs here. I won't be surprised if they get 6 to 7 themselves. I think the Rockies can contribute as well with Clayton Kershaw struggles in Coors Field. And just a note, in his last start, Connor Seabold, it was against the Atlanta Braves. He allowed 9 earned runs in 3 innings, 4 home runs. You do have bats in this Dodgers lineups, whether it's Mookie Betts, Will Smith, JD Martinez. Those guys can hit the long bomb for you. So I think we'll see runs in this game. I know it's a big number. It's a big number for a reason. Give me the Dodgers Rockies over 12 in this game.
Lonte
Munaf likes the over. What have you got?
Yeah, I'll add to it in a certain way. I like the Dodgers team total over. I don't think that Seabold he got scratched in his last start, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think he wants to come back against a hot Dodgers offense. I'm not sure if that's what you want to return to. I didn't have much on this game as far as the Dodgers just coming out and completely mashing Seabold. I could think they can score, north of 10 runs themselves. So give me the Dodgers team total over for a full unit for sure.
Okay, I'm going to make a case here, the case for the Rockies. Kershaw, 4.82 ERA career at Colorado. Connor Seabold's 4 starts before that last one were okay. It was kind of serviceable. This year, the Rockies are 18-20 at home, which isn't terrible, just under 500. This series last year finished 5-5. The Rockies in Colorado against the Dodgers. And I'm going to give out one name here for maybe a total base swap. Guaranteed this fella's never been mentioned on the show at all. Ezequiel Tovar for Colorado has hit safely in 18 of his last 20 games in June. 18 of 20 in June. Tovar has reached base safely. So there might be a little prop in there. But yeah, give me the Rockies here at plus 250. Far too big a price for me. Next up is 9:38 Eastern between the Chicago White Sox and the LA Angels. Michael Kopech for Chicago and Shohei Ohtani for the Angels. Plus 180 on the White Sox, minus 208 on the Angels with a total of 8. Lonte, please.
Yeah, man. I mean, pretty simple. I don't want anything to do with the White Sox, and I want everything to do with the Angels whenever Shohei's on the mound. So I would take the Halos on the run line. Although Kopech, he has been solid, 2 earned runs or less in 6 of his last 8 starts. I just don't trust that offense of the White Sox. And I know we'll get a glimpse of that tonight whenever the first game of this series goes down. But I mean, all in all, I expect the Angels to bounce back after they humiliated themselves in that last Shohei start, ruined a gem of a game by him. So give me the Halos on the run line, man. And what did you say the price was for the Angels on the
minus 208 money line?
Yeah, no, you can't lay that. Just lay the money line. I'd look at some Shohei K props and also the first 5 for run line for the Angels.
See, I don't mind Michael Kopech. He's still going along okay.
He's fine. He's fine. I just don't trust that offense for Chicago, especially against Ohtani.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Kopech's done well for us the last couple of times. It's a weird one. Benintendi is hitting 410 in his last 9 games. So, again, might be worth a little prop there. The Angels have lost 4 out of 5. And they're just hard to rely on. I've gone with the under 8 here. Ohtani can shove and Kopech can hold it together possibly. And maybe a first 500 might be a better way of going. But, yeah, some kind of low-scoring encounter I was expecting, Munaf.
Yeah, anytime Ohtani's at pitching in Angels Stadium, that's where I want to back him, especially on the run line. Like Lonte mentioned, just absolutely shitted on the offense did shitted on his pitching performance by not giving any run support in his last start against the Dodgers. 7 innings, he only allowed 1 earned run that span, 101 pitches in that game, 12 strikeouts for Shohei Ohtani in that matchup. Michael Kopech did face this Angels team earlier this season back on May 29th. Did take a 6-4 loss to the Angels. He allowed 4 earned runs in 4 1/3 innings pitched. The White Sox have lost 4 of his last 5 starts when he is on the mound. I'm just going to back the Angels here. I like Ohtani at home, like I mentioned. I just trust him more at Angel Stadium. So Angels run line for me in this game.
9:40 Eastern first pitch. The Washington Nationals at the Seattle Mariners. Jake Irvin goes for Washington, and Brian Wu is the pitcher for Seattle. Plus 185 for the Nationals. Minus 210 for Seattle with a total of 8. Jake Irvin is 1-4 on the year, 4.71 ERA. Not terrible. 0-2 in his last 5 starts. Washington have lost all 5 of those, and they've lost all 5 of them by greater than 1 run as well. So the run line would have cashed on all of them. Brian Wu, last 3 starts have been okay. 15 2/3 pitched with 4 earned runs. Seattle have won all 3 of those again, but there's no way he should be a minus 210 favourite. That's nuts. I think the game will follow those patterns. The Mariners have been a letdown. They were 17-11 in May, and I talked them up on a Futures Fridays, maybe a dark horse for the division. They've then gone 8-12 in June. However, they are 21-17 at home. And I think Washington's struggling, Irvin's struggling. I'm happy with the Seattle run line for this game for me, Munaf.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I'm not going to add much more. I know Brian Wu got off to a rough start in his first start in the majors, which was against the Texas Rangers, whose offense was just absolutely shelling every pitcher that they were facing. But he settled in over his last 3 starts. He's only allowed 2 earned runs in 2 of his last 3 starts. He shut out the Yankees in his last start. The Mariners have won 3 of his last 3 starts, is what I'm trying to say, by 2 of the 3 by at least 2 or more runs in those games. So I know Jake Irvin, like you mentioned, last 2 starts have been really good. But you hit the nail on the head with they haven't won any of those last 5 starts with Jake Irvin on the mound. But they've both been by 2, or all 5 have been by 2+ runs. So run line for me, I agree with you there, Mal.
Lonte?
Yeah, it's gonna be a team ride for me. I'm with you guys on that. I don't want to add too much more. You guys pretty much hit it on the head. Washington is complete fade spot. Unless Gore's on the mound, they really don't. Or Gray. I would say Gray on the mound also. They're a little bit more competitive. But yeah, I don't trust. I don't trust Washington. Seattle is better at home, like you guys mentioned. So run line, I think, is a bargain. Could probably convince me on a first 5 run line also.
Okay, the penultimate game on the show this evening is a 9:40 Eastern first pitch. Well done, Munaf. It's the Tampa Bay Rays at the Arizona Diamondbacks. Good game, this one. Taj Bradley gets the start for Tampa. Officially TBD for the D-backs, but it looks like Zach Gallen will be going. I've got no lines for this one. Not really sure why. Like I said, officially TBD. I've seen Gallen all day. I know the Rays are expecting McClanahan back on Friday, so that might lead to some shuffling of their rotation. But Munaf, did you have much on this Tampa Bay Rays at Arizona game? Because nominally, it's the best looking matchup on the card.
Yep.
Yeah, if it is Zach Gallen going, do trust him at home, obviously. He's just been so good. Even if this is going to be the ultimate test for Zach Gallen, we're going to find out how, I don't want to say how good, but we'll find out a lot about Zach Gallen going up against one of the best offenses in the league, at least this season, in the Tampa Bay Rays, right? And we've talked about how great he's been at home. I mean, 7-0 with a 1.00 ERA for Zach Gallen, 54 innings pitched, 6 earned runs he's allowed at home in 54 innings. That's just incredible. If it is Zach Gallen, it's just an auto bet for me. It doesn't matter who he's facing at home. He's just been so good at home. So if it's Zach Gallen, give me the run line here. I think we might get a nice plus price on that, even if it is against the Rays.
Yeah, I agree with you, Munaf, completely. Bradley is okay, but you just get the feeling like when you watch him that it's a matter of time before somebody does get to him. Arizona have just been red hot. Gallen's incredible at home. 17 wins out of 21 so far this month for Arizona, which is stunning. Yeah, so I co-sign everything you you put out there, Munaf. Lonte?
Yeah, I co-sign both of you guys. If it's Gallon, Munaf read off the numbers, especially at a plus price. I think that's probably one of the better bets you can make on the card. Arizona has been consistent offensively. Although they're 500 in the last 10 games, their offense has been pretty standard. 5+ runs in the last 5 games. Tampa Bay in those last 10 games, a bit inconsistent up and down, as we saw in the Kansas City series. And, Arizona is going to – Kansas City doesn't have a Zach Gallen on their roster, and I think Arizona is going to be able to limit them defensively, especially with Gallen on the mound. So, yeah, if Gallen's at a plus price, man, I think that's a really, really good bet. So give me the Diamondbacks at home.
Okay, so everybody all over the Snakes. Last game, 9:40 Eastern, is the New York Yankees at the Oakland Athletics. Johnny Brito for New York and Paul Blackburn for Oakland. -145 on the Pinstripes, +125 on Oakland. Total of 8 for Lonte to round us out with.
Yeah, man. I honestly was wishing that we could get a little bit higher on Oakland, on Blackburn here, because I was going to take them, but I think the number is a little too low. Yankees, good series win against Texas. They dominated the series back in May against Oakland, outscoring them 28-10. The Yankees do perform well on the road. Some of that is with Judge, obviously, but Brito's a bit up and down this year. He's given up 4 earned runs in 2 of his last 3 road starts. He didn't pitch well in one of those games in that series. That was on May 10th. He did pitch well. I'm sorry. He had 2 earned runs, but that was at home where he's better. So it'll be interesting to see how he performs on the road. And Brito, he's faced solid offenses in his recent starts. Blackburn, I'm a real big fan of. He's got only 2 home starts, and he's pitched well against quality competition. Atlanta, Tampa Bay being those 2 teams that he faced. He's allowed 3 earned runs combined in his 2 home starts. Number-wise, I wanted to take Blackburn, but it's not big enough for me, so I'll take the Yankees on the run line. Maybe look at some Blackburn props. Oakland might be live in the first 5, but I think the Yankees will end up winning the game.
Yeah, Lonte, we've shared a lot of our thoughts here tonight. Paul Blackburn, I do like, and I did want a bigger price. So I thought I'll take Blackburn at +145. And then he wasn't. He was +125. I do feel like I pick Oakland first 5 every day. And that's what I've got again here. I think they are, again, as long as you said, live in the first 5. Brito was okay last time, but I do like Blackburn. He's good at home. So as much as I might have to find a different way of handicapping Oakland, it seems to be my daily pick, but it's Oakland on the first 5 for me, Munaf.
Yeah, you guys mentioned it. Paul Blackburn has been really good at home. 9 2/3 innings pitched. He's only allowed 3 earned runs in that span. And like Lonte mentioned, it's been against the 2 of the better offenses in the league, in the Braves and the Tampa Bay Rays. Last start wasn't so great for him, but it was against Cleveland on the road where he has struggled a little bit. Johnny Brito had a good start against the Oakland A's team as well back on May 10th. And the Yankees have won 4 straight starts when Brito is on the mound by at least 2 runs in those 4 straight games. I'll lean here with the Yankees. I don't love it. I do like the under in this game. If it gets to 8.5, I'll pull the trigger on the under. I think both pitchers can go along well here. Yankees, I know they've been feisty even without Aaron Judge in the lineup. They had a good series against the Rangers over the weekend. But under for me, and I'll lean with the Yankees here. I don't love it.
Okie doke. And I think that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, has got us to the end of the 15 games. Lock and dog time. I think, Munaf, as I've seen more Major League Baseball in person than you this season, I'm going to leave off. I'll lead off tonight with our players. You just stay there in your nice comfy armchair, Munaf. Me and Lonte will go to the coal face and we'll watch these games live so we can handicap them for the people. Don't you worry about it. My lock was dead easy. Going back to what Trev said earlier on. Fade Tyone, fade the Cubs travel spot. Philly, Ranger Suarez has been outstanding. -125 was a great price, and I would snap their hand off to take that. I had loads of choice for my dogs. I had Cincinnati was an option, +115. Colorado was an option, but I'm going to go all the way to the top with the Brewers at +120. I can't believe Peterson's that price. All the Mets are that price, minus 140. So, yeah, give me the Brewers to take down the Mets at a price of plus 120. Lonte, what do you have?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna go for my lock. One of the most disrespectful lines and that's out there for the slate. I'm gonna go with the Braves minus I think it's 140, 145. If you shop around, you get the best number, of course. I mean, I don't really want to put too much into it. I mean, the Braves are, slaughtering people at home. They're slaughtering people on the road. Offense is probably the best in the MLB, if not close second, maybe to Texas or depending on how you feel about Texas. But yeah, I think 145 is pretty cheap. Elder on the mound, who's pitched extremely well at home. I think that's too cheap. So I like the Braves at minus 140, 145, whatever you get it at. As for my dog, man, I'm going to go with Singer at home. I'm going to go with the Singer at home plus 120. I know it's kind of bold. But like me and Munaf mentioned, I mean, he's pitched well in his most recent starts. So I think he has a pretty good day against the Cleveland team who I don't trust. They don't have much offense. Defensively, they'll be fine, but I don't think they'll be able to put enough run. In a close game, I'll take an underdog at home.
Okay, so Brady Singer play for Lonte. Come on, Munaf, I've riled you up now. You've got. Give us some winners.
All right, for my lock, I'm going to go with the Mariners run line minus 1.5. I'm just fading Jake Irvin here. Despite having two good back-to-back starts for the Nationals, Mal, you mentioned it that his last 5 games that the Nationals have lost by at least 2 earned runs. I'll take that a step further. His last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 starts, the Nationals have lost by 2+ runs. So Brian Wu, we talked about it. He had a rough first start against the Rangers, but he's found some form over his last 3 games where the Mariners have won 2 of those last 3 games by 2 or more runs here. So I'll take the Mariners minus 1.5, minus 115 as my lock. For my dog, I'll take the Cincinnati Reds. Give me Andrew Abbott plus 115 on the money line. We talked about how well he's been pitching for the Cincinnati Reds, and I talked about the offensive numbers for the Baltimore Orioles against left-handed pitching. I think the offense has just been firing on all cylinders for the Cincinnati Reds. I know I did take the under, but I think this is an opportunity where the Reds could probably win this game like a 5-3 type of final. I'll take Andrew Abbott and the Cincinnati Reds plus 115 on the money line against the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, I'm pleased someone went with the Reds because that was on my short list of 3 dogs as well. Munaf, good effort. And we're done, yeah. Munaf, anything else we need to hear about?
No, I think we covered all the bases. We'll be here again throughout the week, so come tap in with us. Just appreciate everybody in the chat, our usual guys that are in there, Dylan, Randy, Captain Insano, TV, DBJ, all the guys. Appreciate you guys tapping in with us, and we'll be here at the usual time tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. Yeah,
when I'm talking, I look at you and I look at Lonte, and I can see you both reading the messages and just smiling and laughing away. So that gives you, that tells you all you need to know about our listeners and how the chat's going. So yeah, echo that. Lonte, anything you need to tell us?
No, I mean, I echo that as well. Love the guys in the chat. Keep the show flowing. Keeping some good info also in there as well. But yeah, man, good luck to everybody. Hope we make you some money, and we'll be back in some form or fashion the rest of the week.
Yeah, brilliant. So thanks very much, Munaf. Thanks, Lonte. Good luck with all your bets. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, we'll see you down the road. Cheers.